We back. Yes, people. Welcome to What Does Your Mum Think? Stories from the heart that make mums proud. Get me? We out here. We're doing it. Listen, check the merch. Coming real soon. I'm excited. Really, really excited to put these out there and everyone to start repping them. What does your mum think to the world? Right, so back with another banger for your head tops. Today is a conversation I've been wanting to have for a while. Today I'm chatting with Mat Voyce. And first off, I want to thank Matt again for his vulnerability on this conversation about his anxiety and the struggles that go on behind closed doors. I think when you look into someone like Mat Voyce's life, who has a massive following on Instagram, even though he doesn't shout about it, he does work for Ed Sheeran music videos. He does work for massive clients like Disney and ESPN and stuff like that. If you've probably watched or seen Matt's work without even realizing it, because he's so humble. He's so humble, and he never stops. He's constantly doing personal work. He's listening to his gut throughout his life. This conversation meant the world to me, and I hope it does you too, and I hope it resonates. And I think we're all victims sometimes of like looking at other people and comparing ourselves to other people's lives and looking like they've got everything figured out, everything's sweet, and like they're smashing it here, they're smashing it there. But everyone's just figuring it out, like regardless of a follow account, regardless of client status, regardless of anything. But yeah, this was an amazing conversation that is really why I do this podcast. This is a story from the heart. Do you know what I'm saying? And we talk about his childhood and his mutual love for The Simpsons. We both love The Simpsons. How he won a competition for a Futurama cover back in the day. I know he, studied in graphic design, but then found motion. And throughout the lockdown, had like a 2-year crash course in doing his passion for motion almost, and became really bloody good at it. So yeah, this was a real conversation, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Big up, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We keep going. We keep moving, keep being inspired. I love you all. Thank you. Enjoy. Mat Voyce, how you feeling? Welcome to What Does Your Mum Think?
I'm good. It's always nice to speak to a fellow Brit who's thousands of miles away.
I love it. I'm going to try and bring as much of that British energy as I possibly can. I'm fine when I'm in the US. I'll be stood next to people in work, right? And I've had a friend come out this week who works in a London office, and I'm stood next to her. We're chatting. This lady called Maddie, and we're chatting, and I can see my American homie stood next to her, just looking at me like, "You don't sound like this, bro." Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I want to kick things off with, if I'm sure you're aware of Mat Voyce's work, but if you're not, go back and watch the intro, because Matt did that. I'm really grateful for you doing that. So I love that. You helped things made things pop for us. So that's sick. So again, Matt, just really quickly before we get into it, I've followed you for so long now, and it looks like I said to you on previous conversations, it looks like you never stop ever. You're just always doing stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just can't stop, and I won't stop.
Fucking love it, bro. You really inspire me, bro. And again, why I do this podcast and why I've wanted to have you on here for so long. And outside of looking in, bro, you have it all figured out. And I know that's never true.
More or less, yeah. On the top level, it's kind of like that. There's no time management. There's no rest.
It's hard to balance it, innit?
It's
right.
awful.
So before we get into the nitty gritty bits of this, I want to kick things off with a quick fire round. Favorite biscuit?
Jammy Dodger.
One letter that you love animating.
I do quite like animating X's. There's something about the symmetry, and because it's quite a simple shape, it means you can do a lot with it. You can kind of stretch it, expand it, make it round, make it sharp. It's got it all.
Yeah, nice. Your favourite cartoon character?
Favourite cartoon character is Fry from Futurama.
And I know why as well. We're going to get to that in a minute. Music, podcast, or silence while you're working?
Music. I don't listen to podcasts. Not when I'm working anyway. They're like, I do them. I can't concentrate on talking then the work. I like the music.
I hear that. An unusual place that you find inspiration?
The cinema or the movie theatre.
Yeah, nice title scenes and things like that.
Yeah, it might not be unusual, but it's I can watch a film and then I'll see something and it will like store and I'll be like, oh yeah, could do it like that.
Yeah, nice, very nice. A favorite way to switch your brain off?
It used to be running, and now it's kind of just being with the family, chilling with my son, my kid. Just yeah, because then you really are off working. You can't sit on the computer. It's downtime fully.
Yeah, I love it. Yorkshire countryside or city buzz?
Countryside.
Yeah, I need a bit more
Easy
of it in my
for me.
life, Matt.
I've done some city, and yeah, I enjoy the fields now, which are out there, so it's good.
Yeah, I do miss it. Like with where I am in Harlem, you just go straight up, and like upstate New York does have a lot of more greenery. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I
Yeah,
don't know why
nice.
everyone fucking crams down here. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just the city, isn't
City life, city energy. Do you know what I mean?
it?
Right, amazing. So the first phase I want to take you through is Stuntman Matt. Do you know what
Yes,
I'm saying?
good times. Yeah.
Good times, bro. So I read that you wanted to be a stuntman growing up and you've trained in gymnastics, which is fucking amazing. And you loved like Tough Mudders and stuff like that. What happened there, bro?
So I it's because I kind of wanted to be a stuntman at times because I didn't know I wasn't really going anywhere and like my design work was mediocre and I didn't really know if there was a career in that for me. And I loved just like moving and rough. I like the rough and tumble and just getting thrown around like off of trampolines. And when I was a kid, I it's kind of followed through to my design work or like my career. Like I never stuck at anything, so I tried gymnastics, I tried trampolining, high jump, like all the sports. I did them all for like months or weeks or half a year, and I just couldn't decide. And the combination of like being able to do like flips and then being used to trampolines and having like a higher pain threshold really for just injuries because I'm quite clumsy, it kind of felt like it was the right thing to do, but it's quite kind of hard to get into when you're not like a fully trained gymnast and you can do the odd flip here and there. It was a pipe dream, never going to happen.
Do you still train it? Do you still do any bits?
Nah, not anymore.
Never.
I don't think I don't think my knees could take it anymore.
The hard lands and that.
I think my youth activities have done me in for my mid-30s. Like I can't do it. Can't do it.
It's really interesting how it's aligned that doing typography and stuff for like Netflix and for movies now, where instead of doing the stunts, you're doing the type and the graphics for it, which is
cool. Still that love of movies, like it's still there, so it's getting involved with it somehow, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. So you're currently obviously you live in Leeds. Are you originally from Leeds?
No, I'm from the Midlands, Leicestershire.
That's where you live in Leeds now. All right, nice, love it. Leeds, Leeds, big up. So when you was growing up, you loved cartoons, and films like Ghostbusters, The Goonies, Star Wars, fucking Space Jam. I fucking remember the feeling of Space Jam, bro. Yeah. Like, wild, bro. Very similar to me. And like when you mentioned about The Simpsons, bro, they're Sky one day, 6 o'clock on a Saturday, right, and a Sunday, 7:06 or 7:06 on a Sunday. That's a blast back for me, bro.
I know. It was every night. I think I started watching it. It was on, maybe it was BBC Two, and it was the same time slot. And I used to watch it, and then it was religious watching as well. I'd always watch it,
bro. Honestly, we never sat at the table in my house. We just used to sit at the bloody couch watching The Simpsons. You know what I mean? Have you watched would you still watch it?
No, do you know what? I know it's like season 21 or 22 or something ridiculous. Since like just working so much in the last few years, I've just lost track of it. And I know it's on Disney Plus here in the UK, so I need to just rinse it again. Like, God, it'd be done.
It's comfort for me, Matt. I do find myself putting it on Sunday mornings and stuff, and it's just snowed recently here really bad, and I put the Mr. Plow episode on, and you know what I mean, and like beating in America, like, and it's just a bit like it's a bit mad for me. It's kind of surreal, and all the it makes more sense to me now after living in America for a little bit. I bet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you've experienced it a bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. But I think it's mad because I can still watch episodes from, I don't know how old it is, like 20 odd years ago, and I can still quote when certain scenes are playing on certain episodes. I still know what's coming, and I can still quote it. And where that sits in this, I can't remember what I had for dinner 2 weeks ago, but I can remember a quote from The Simpsons from 20 years ago.
I'm exactly the same, bro. I'm exactly the same, bro. You know, I wake up and think about putting the Mr. Plow episode on. Like, what the fuck, bro? Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'm like,
it's stored somewhere in that brain.
I mean, it's childhood kind of
Yeah, it is.
seminal moments, I guess, in it. You know what I mean? I think
Mhm.
a lot, like I said, a lot of it for me is definitely comfort and being out here and finding
Yeah,
that. You know, it reminds me of my mum and dad being in the kitchen next, you know what I mean, and whatnot.
yeah, yeah.
So with that, you entered a competition for a magazine cover for Futurama.
I did.
Same, obviously, creator Matt Groening for both.
Yeah.
How did that come about? And you won it. Tell me this.
Yeah, so I used to collect the comics. I
Mhm.
don't know. It's when I got into the TV show, and I had him on. I had him on like DVD, and I was fully into it. And I started um, getting the comics, and then I started buying the backdated versions as well to try and collect them all. And I always used to look in the back because it was an art contest. I think they did it for the Simpsons comics as well, and you just had to send a drawing in, and it could be anything. And the one I was entering was like a cover contest, and you kind of just had to. You had free range just to make something Futurama based, and because I knew the show, I knew the Simpsons. I did like a crossover thing because they'd done crossover comics in the past, so I just drew like Mr. Burns and Mom from Mom Corp, and did this pretty terrible looking cover. And then, like, I don't know, 6 months later, a parcel came for me, and I was young. I was like, I don't know, it would have been between 13 and, I don't know, 12 and 13 maybe. And a big box came for me, and I didn't order stuff back then. I was a kid. Um, and it was a winning robot from the contest. And then the magazine came like, I don't know, a week later, and there I was. There was my name printed in it, and it was just amazing. And I've still got it, and it's in a drawer over there. Or it might be in the attic now, but yeah, still got it.
But that's so cool, bro. I remember them magazines. I used to sit there with my grandma and trace them all. I probably
That's what I
might have
did.
even had your. Yeah, yeah. I might have even had
Yeah,
your cover, like, to be honest. Might
yeah.
have even
Who
traced your cover.
knows? Yeah,
The prize that you got, it was Earl, right?
yeah. And I've still got it. It should be on my desk really, but it's gone into storage in the attic for the time being.
Oh, that's so cool, bro. I love
Yeah, man.
that. Like, was that like the first time like, how did that make you feel, bro? That must have been some form of like validation that
Yeah.
you know.
It was exciting, and it probably wanted me. I don't know, fueled me to work harder at design subjects in school rather than just, I don't know, breezing through, which is what I did for with every other subject. Didn't really put any effort in. So yeah, I think it definitely helped fuel that internal fire of being like, I like drawing. I could do something in an art or design. I don't know. Because obviously I was young
Hmm.
then, so I didn't really have a clue.
Yeah. Now, what did your parents do?
My mum was a dental nurse, and my dad was and still is a quality control director for a company that makes in like boots or thinking of American version of boots, Coles maybe or something like that.
Yeah,
Where you
yeah.
get your makeup, and then all the makeup's in like a big plastic unit with like specialized holes for lipsticks and foundations. They build those units, and he directs the company to make sure those units go out working. So nothing to do with design. But my dad did do a lot of drawing and art, and he used to like paint Warhammer figures. So some of that kind of interest in art and films definitely kind of did rub off on me.
Yeah, nice, nice. I love that. So, like, I've read that school wasn't your thing, but like, mine neither, brother. I'm right there with you. Um, I hated it, lad.
Yeah.
But I loved like you said, I loved PE and I loved art. I
Yeah.
loved any subject matter that what was felt like it was a bit against the curriculum. Science, all that stuff was not me. Maths, all that shit,
Yeah.
literature.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm still not the most articulate brother, and I'm doing a fucking podcast. Imagine that. What give you? Where did you feel confident growing up?
Doing sports, definitely doing
Yeah, yeah.
sports.
Mm.
Anything physical like that, and then as well, I guess doing like drawing and doing those sort of creative activities at home when I was a kid, maybe.
Mm.
And I mean, like when I used to go out with my mates, like we used to play out. When you used to ring your mate's mum and be like, "Is Ryan going to come play out?" I'm my best mate, or Andy and Ryan going to come out? Yeah, like I think like we were always doing active stuff. Like we were doing like skateboarding, climbing trees, proper childhood before we played a lot of PlayStation, but then we've spent a lot of time outside as well before iPhones existed. So that was probably a real good thing too. But yeah,
Mm. I remember them days, bro. The landline days. I had all my friends' numbers memorized in my head.
yeah. I can still remember one.
I can still.
4118. That's insane.
It is insane, bro. I can still remember. I think there's something about that kid's brain in it.
Yeah.
So when did you first figure out graphic design was a thing that you could do?
It was in GCSEs because
Was it? Yeah, nice.
yeah, it was one of the. I can't remember how it worked. I'm pretty sure you could choose it. You could choose it in your set of 11 subjects in my school, and loads of my mates did like electronics. That was super popular, and I mean, props to them. Some of them are Sparkies and electricians now. And I chose graphic design because I liked design, so I did that, and I just loved it. I loved every single graphic design lesson, and it was my only GCSE out of the 11 that I got an A in. So it was right for me.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
from there, then obviously in the UK, college, uni, right? So did you go and study a BTEC at college?
Yeah, so I tried to do AS levels at the same school where I did my GCSEs. Tried to do biology, psychology, art, and um, product design. Was it product design? Must have been product design. But I started after the first 8 months. I was failing psychology and severely failing biology. I was getting like U's. I just wouldn't stick in my head. So they wouldn't take me on with two AS levels to finish through my A levels. So I had to go to Loughborough College, and that's where I just did. I applied for just graphic design. I didn't know what it was. Just know it was just going to be like my GCSE course, like graphic design. It'd just be doing graphic design just all the time. And that was literally the best thing that I could have ever done, because that then led on to like university, which was my uni course in graphic design. And yeah, that's kind of the trajectory, really.
Yeah, nice. And that was in Sheffield, right? Sheffield
Yeah,
University.
yeah, Sheffield Hallam.
So where in that predominantly graphic design, understandably, where did you first get a glimpse? Because I read that the first time you did motion, which is ironic, I guess, you fucking hate it.
Yeah, I still do at times when I'm doing it. Like I get very frustrated. I love it at its core.
Of course.
Yeah, we in university we had a ton of modules. One was like a dissertation, one was like illustration, and one was motion graphics. And so we had like a lesson on how to use After Effects, real basic stuff. We might have had more than one lesson. I can't really remember. But then we had to do like a semester project or an end of course project for that year, second year, and it was an animation. So we had to use the software to make like a long form animation, which was like 15 seconds long, and I made that, and I just hated it. I hated what I'd made because I'd watched, like we were saying, Futurama, Simpsons, like these amazing cartoons, really high crafted and cool stuff, and this is what I'd made, and I was just like, oh no, never again. Hate it.
That's really, really interesting, bro. So, in it, it's mad how things take a 360, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So obviously you graduate, you're a graphic designer. I know you freelance for a little while, like moving into phase 2 now, like finding motion. You freelance for a little while, like doing small jobs for people on like Twitter and Twitter logos and things, which is very entrepreneurial in a way, bro. Do you know what I mean? It's very inventive how you found these things, I never even really thought about doing that. I always felt like I needed to be given a brief to do some personal work in a way, So what inspired that?
It was I some of it came off the back of uni modules that I had done in my third year. So for one of my briefs in my third year, I did like NFL mascots. I recreated mascots. I made new mascots for the teams, or like did like a giant for the NFL for the NY Giants. So I did like really stereotypical mascots kind of things. And then I put them out on Twitter, and I would use loads of hashtags. And it just so happened that I caught, I don't know, really random people. And I had friends of I don't know, there might have been like family friends and people that my family had worked with or my sister had worked with, and they'd passed the fact that I was a graphic designer on. So I was doing those small logo jobs for friends and family, but they were literally just really simple logos and illustrations, nothing heavy at all. So I kind of tried to do that whilst I was still looking for a full-time job after I left uni and still living at home. And it kind of never phased out of doing freelance jobs whilst working full-time, but they were always, until my last job, small. They were just like little things, like little bit of InDesign work or a brochure or a flyer, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, figuring it out as you go in it. So you was working you was working a full-time job, and then you started getting bigger commissions, and that's when you decided to kind of go freelance a bit more, kind of like full-time, right? Am I correct in saying that?
I've been doing the smaller freelance gigs throughout my different roles, and I had like 2 actual design agency roles. And in the last agency I was at, that's where I was working with, they had more high profile clients like MTV, like Nickelodeon. So they had these great clients for me to work on and do my day job. And they were also, because I had some basic motion in my portfolio, they were getting me to do like motion tutorials at work and then applying that to these high profile client projects. So I was kind of like doing those bits and then going home and then applying those motion skills to my own love of doing static type. And yeah, like again, like posting them out with hashtags and sharing them everywhere. That then started to draw in work, and it just built momentum over like months and months. And it became to the point where I was getting these really cool briefs, not always for like massive clients, but just good briefs to do this thing that I love doing. But I was still working full time, and they wanted me like to do like day rates and to check in halfway through the day, and I can't. I'm still working full time, so yeah, it's something I had to give, and I decided it was my full time job.
That's amazing, bro. And I think this is fucking awesome as well, bro. So you started making these stickers on Giphy, and they popped off, bro. And when I say popped off, they got billions of usages.
Yeah.
And you went onto Instagram one day, and your bits of type was in the most used stickers at the top. And again, these kind of like, I feel like that, like almost like validation checkpoints that you've had throughout your life, bro. Like again, how did that feel? Like,
yeah, that was definitely one of those moments. Again, like fueling that fire in a different sense of like I could do these full time if they started paying, for example. And yeah, that was amazing because I'd made a bunch and then forgot about them and wasn't really keeping track of them, because I'm like that. I'll make something and then forget about it, a bit like doing sports. It's like a fad and then I move on. And I saw it and I was like, people must be using it. And then I logged in and there was these millions of views, and that soon became like 1 billion views for like stickers. And that validation then made me want to make more. So I got into the rhythm of doing an Instagram post, which was a pretty simple piece of looping type, like 4-8 seconds. And then that type would also be a Giphy sticker. So they would like feed each other. So whatever I would make on Instagram would be a Giphy sticker, and whatever I made in a month of Giphy stickers would then be a project. So everything was feeding everything, and it was all getting shown and released and shared around. And that's just how the momentum built, like forgetting the eyes on the work and the agencies and whatnot.
Yeah, I love it, bro. Like, I can't remember where I took this from, but like someone said this to me, but like the work you do is the work you do, innit? I've said it a couple of times on this podcast, and when I'm speaking to people like yourself, that have gained this kind of like traction, it's kind of just finding time in your personal life, you specifically, pandemic, watching Netflix during the lockdown, and then you started just playing even more so, and then that work breeds more work, and then actual client work, and all of a sudden this thing that you was doing for nothing, you're getting paid for doing it.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is good timing, and someone wouldn't be able to just recreate that journey, because it was my personal journey, and it was I hit it at a really good point when those stickers were starting to be really popular. So now it's like super saturated, like it just wouldn't fly if you started just doing that. So I was very lucky with my timing as well, that it happened when it did, really.
I think you made a bit of your own luck though, Matt. I think you've opportunity and preparation, right? You know what I mean? I think that's just it. Like you've been playing with these things, you've seen an opportunity and you've took it, and I don't think that's luck. True. You know what I mean? You've made your own luck in that sense. I think it's amazing, bro. And I think for other people listening, there's going to be a different individual pursuit that they're going to be able to latch onto, and figure out. I think sometimes it's just having,
of course,
like listening to that inner feeling, I guess, a little bit like, oh, this could be something. I'm going to do more of this, and I think it's amazing, bro. So exactly that. Thanks, man. So it's like the lockdown thing, like you described that as like a 2-year crash course at your passion, which I think is fucking sick. And again, right, you want to look at it, you had a blessing, all that time and stuff, but you took it, you know what I mean? You made the most of that opportunity, you turned it into a positive, so to say. I love how you describe yourself as a friendly neighborhood type designer. That's so lovely, bro. It feels a bit American, actually. Where does that personality come from?
I think because when I started out, everything that I was making type-wise was like a positive word or a positive statement, and everything was quite friendly and relatable, and yeah, it just kind of worked in that sort of realm. And all the projects I were doing, that was also kind of tied into like these nice vibes and positive vibes and whatnot. So it kind of just kind of worked together. And I think obviously I did partly nick it from Spider-Man, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So
Yeah.
it was like a fun jab at that kind of style of comics and cartoons in America, and yeah, it just kind of felt like a nice little line.
I knew it rang a bell, bro. I couldn't put my finger on what it was. I've never really watched it. Spider-Man, innit? Fucker.
Yeah.
I should have got that one. Amazing. So really quickly, I've watched all your Adobe things, and I think people, if you are listening, Matt's done loads of like Adobe tutorials where he takes you through exactly his process and how to make type move and stuff, which I think is really great. You know what I mean? And I think to master something even further, you teach it, right? But really quickly, talk me through your process. You could be walking down the street, you think of a word, you come home, do you sketch first, and then you get onto your Mac and it illustrate it, and put it into After Effects, I'm guessing? Well,
Yeah, I don't do any sketching. Like I never really have. No,
nice.
because
Interesting.
when I started using Illustrator originally, I was just hands-on in the program, like learning how to draw characters. I kind of left that sketching behind when I started using Illustrator.
Nice.
It just never followed through. I use sometimes I've done sketching for like really specific words if I'm trying to get like some bubble writing right, or like some graffiti style, kind of like in the picture behind you, that kind of style, because it's just easier to flow with the wrist and trying to get these letter forms. But yeah, on the whole, it's normally having a word or having like a phrase in mind, and then because I feel like now, because I've done it so many times and I've done thousands of words and so many different styles, that like I'll do the word and I'll have like a rough visual style in my mind from either taking it from like different bits of old pieces I've done, or odd visual styles and whatnot. And it could be like color schemes from, I don't know, like photos, from screenshots, from films, from materials, like just like color picking and getting those the combinations. And it kind of all just starts to come together. Like I just kind of like try things out and see what works and see what rhythm works. And yeah, most of the time there's some rough planning in Illustrator, so I'll type the words out, design them visually, and just get them to a point where I know I can move them over to After Effects and animate them easier. So it's gone from me doing like full visuals in Illustrator and making them look really nice to now doing really basic, almost sketches in Illustrator, and then the most of the workload is in After Effects. That's where the texturing happens. Obviously, the motion and the visual style kind of comes together there. So, yeah, it's After Effects is really the home for it now. It's kind of changed a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I hear what you're saying. I love that, bro. Sick. I think sometimes, again, like that blank page when you're looking at it like an illustrated document scares me at times. I think I've got, like sometimes, but like, just blasting up in a big page and just doing stuff in there and being raw and using that as a digital sketchbook can be quite nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, people, quick one. I always remember starting out in packaging design, absolutely buzzing for my mum to finally understand what I did for a living. And the first time she held something that I had designed, it all clicked for her. And then I told her that I'd won an award for it. You know how it is. There ain't nothing better than a proud mum, and that's why I'm partnering with the Pen Awards. If you've poured your heart into a bit of packaging design over the past year, enter your finest work into Pen Awards 2026. Get the recognition you and your team deserves, and most importantly, make Mumsy proud. You get me? Come on, the one that matters, innit? You have the potential to be holding one of these shiny little numbers that I've got in my hand here. I might have pinched these ones, but we're getting there. And yeah, big love to Pen Awards for backing the craft for 20 years, and this is the legacy year, so even more a reason to enter and be a part of history. So yeah, the deadline's the 27th of March. You can find a link in my bio, and you all know Mumsy loves a deal, so I've got a little coupon code for your head tops. Enter Make Mum Proud, all uppercase at checkout, and get your award entries in right now. Run it up, don't sleep, make Mumsy proud. Big up Pen Awards. Let's go, people. Good luck. So when this starts to scale, Matt, going into phase 3, you've worked for clients such as the BBC, the LA Times, Disney Plus, Honda, Netflix, ESPN. Like, these are big clients, right? Like big clients. And you might describe, well, you do describe yourself as a non-award-winning graphic and motion designer. But bro, you've done some sick shit, like sick shit. You know what I mean? Like, fuck all the accolades, bro. Like, you're doing the thing, bro. Right. So
Yeah, true.
And I love you taking it again. It's similar to, it's a similar way of like friendly neighborhood type designer. I'm a non-award winning. Like, you're so humble, bro. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just gonna
Yeah.
shout you, bro. Like, bro, you're doing sick, and I'm gonna give you your flowers as you deserve them, man. Like,
Thanks, man.
finding yourself and figuring these things out and listening to your gut sometimes and listening to your passions. I think it's really inspiring, bro. It's sick.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a journey.
Of course, and it still is. It's the best bit, though, right?
Yeah, it is.
What's the craziest fuck me? I made that moment.
It probably was. It was I did these. Everyone always says, they want to work for Disney and whatnot, and I did these stickers for Disney Plus just before I went freelance, really. Then to be clear, like probably like 75% of the work I do is through an agency. So like things like ESPN, the BBC, like all those jobs are normally run through like a full service or like a creative design industry or like an advertising agency. And then they bring me in to do those specialist areas of type design and making the type move and whatnot. It's not always like, I have some young designers coming up and be like, oh, who do you know who works at Disney or who works at Netflix? Yeah. I was like, I don't know anyone. I just work with agencies who they have the relationships with them. So, it's nice to say I have those like massive clients, but you don't always know these people personally or these companies personally. But the Disney one was a big one because I'd gone from doing those logos on Twitter for people and for doing logos for like electricians and small startups to then doing this design work for this this brand that I'd grown up with, essentially Disney, and like something that I'd seen since I was a kid. So that was like a pretty big moment. And when they posted the stickers out as part of like a nostalgia campaign, because it was not long after Disney Plus actually came to the UK. It was like during COVID and everyone was streaming, so they did like a nostalgia campaign where they released really old TV shows from like the early 90s. So animating these words and these characters as well from those shows I watched growing up, like Doug, what was the other ones that I did? I can't even remember now, gone blank. There were shows that I'd watched as a kid. So not only getting to play with those properties and draw the characters in my style, like Goofy and things like that, that was sick. Like insane. So like, that was wild. A bonus. And then seeing them being posted out there as well was being like, oh my God, that's mine. And that kind of like, again, more validation and, having that self-belief of being like, how have I done that? Like, that's just mental. And obviously it was a small project. It wasn't like, I'm changing the world of Disney. But it was still, for me, it was still Disney. It was still a great client. So, that was definitely the first and biggest probably fuck me moment.
It's amazing, bro. Where does that? What's the usage of them? Where do they go?
For things like that, it's just kind of they upload them on their Giphy channels, and then they can kind of do what they want with it. It depends on the brief and the usage rights, but most of the time when it's through agencies, the usage it's just non-existent because you just pass over like the source files or. You pass over the designs and they can essentially do what they want with them. So they were used for the campaign, and you can still use them if you go on, Giphy and search for, Disney Plus nostalgia. But that's as far as it goes. Like they're just there to exist now, and they just do their thing.
It's really cool, man. It's sick.
Yeah.
And again, like speaking at scale, like obviously you've got work on like billboards, taxi wraps, fucking everywhere, bro. Like, have you done music videos as well?
Yeah, I've done one music video.
What was the music video?
It was Ed Sheeran and Lil Baby for Two Step, and that was like, I don't know, a few years ago, 3 years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago.
That's amazing. How does a project like that come around?
Some projects like that are through who you know. So when I did that project, I was working with, he used to be a creative director of Wieden & Kennedy London. So massive agency in the UK. And then he went freelance and he moved to the US. And just emailed me one day because he'd worked with me on a project for a few months with the agency back then. And yeah, that was through like just who you know. And some of the projects I've done are through who you know. So yeah, those personal connections always help.
That's a cool moment, bro. You
Mm,
know,
really
that's
cool.
sick. Fucking love Ed Sheeran
Yeah.
as well. Do you know what I mean? One of my favorites, Ed Sheeran. That's really cool, man. That's sick. You're too humble, bro. I feel like I'm squeezing this out of you, bro.
I know, I
I
know.
love it. I love it, bro. Congratulations. It's sick. So what I wanted to talk to you about is your online audience. When did that start growing, and was that calculated or was it serendipitous?
It just happened. Yeah, it was never
Yeah, yeah.
planned. It started growing before Reels became a thing on Instagram, and I don't know. This was when I had my first job. Like, I would share some like personal creative pieces, like passion projects and whatnot. They didn't really build, they didn't really do anything. And then there used to be this thing called 36 Days of Type, where
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, this agency in Barcelona, they did this. It wasn't even a contest. It was kind of like they just ran this Instagram takeover once a year, where each letter of the alphabet and each number of the numerical alphabet would be posted out each day, and it'd be like, everyone create this letter A in your personal style, however you want to make it, and then we'll choose someone, we'll put it on our profile, and we'll have like a curated gallery. And they did that for years and years. They don't do it anymore, unfortunately, because of Instagram's they just did them over essentially. But I did that for a few years, and I got some days featured, some letters were featured, and that then started to build like a base audience of like 4 or 5 thousand people, which was amazing. Um, and then when I started doing the Instagram stickers, it just kind of started to grow from there, and then it just started going mental. Like, and again, this was before like the algorithm of Reels, when people were sharing them around. They just went mad, and it just built, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And some years it's grown loads depending on what I've posted, and then sometimes it doesn't. Like the last, I don't know, it must be the last 8 9 months I've been on the same follow count on Instagram, but it's not something I really take sort of. I don't watch over that number or keep track of it. It's just a number. Um, yeah, it just kept going. It was crazy. I don't
You
know.
constantly post, obviously.
Yeah.
But does that consistency, is it a natural consistency or is it a discipline consistency?
Uh, it's kind of it was disciplined at first, and now it's just more natural, because originally when I was first doing those stickers, I was posting every single day, and I did that for like 18 months, and that obviously skyrocketed the following. And then as I've got older, and I've got more responsibility with like family and pets and doing freelance projects, like that, then posting has gone down to like 1 or 2 times a week. So I've gone it was always like quality, but it feels like I used to do quantity over quality. Whereas now, when I'm putting things out there, the things that I'm making, I'm spending like a week making them. I'm spending time making them, and not just like 3 4 hours like I was. So now it's a bit more planned, but I'm not like, oh, I'm going to post every Tuesday. It's just like,
Yeah,
if I have
yeah,
something the next few weeks to post, I have something. And if I don't, I might post a collection of old works just to keep myself out there, and to keep showing people. But
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's more natural now, and it's less forced because I just don't have time for it. It's impossible.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a job in itself, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, social. That's why people fucking do job as social media people. Do you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
how do you keep that in check and make sure it doesn't hurt your head with the pressures or the passion that may come from, you know?
Yeah. I think it's come for me through um experience, really. Like, I've had points where I felt pressured and felt like I had to post, so I've made
Mm,
some half-assed work, and it's not really had traction and not gained anything. So I've kind of been through like the pain of not growing, and the positivity, and like the great bits about growing an audience. And like, I've learned that like either way, it doesn't change my life. So I don't want to ever like sort of count on those numbers and those facts, and the sort of pressures of needing to do that, because it can put you in like a really horrible place. And now I'm in a solid place with it. Like, I don't care if I don't post for a while. Like, as long as I've got essentially freelance work, and I've got something cool to show every few months or weeks, like, I'm happy. Like, because I got in a real negative spot with it, seeing you know, seeing people who are doing the same thing as me, like getting projects that I would have loved to have worked on, or projects that, you know, I felt like may have been influenced by me, but I didn't get to work on the projects. I've seen stuff like that, and it's made me feel horrible. So, yeah, I try now and not take notice. And there's been people in the past who have done essentially the same design work as me, and I've just stopped going on their profile so that the algorithm doesn't feed it to me anymore. So I just don't see it, and they're still there. I just don't look at their work because I just don't want to see it. I'd be fine now looking at it, but it's been out of choice and for my own mental sanity and thinking like, fuck, like I'm not going to count on looking at what the people have done because that's going to just send me in a spiral.
I fully hear you, brother. Again, like what I mentioned earlier, like from the outside looking in, it looks like you never stop and you've got it all figured out. But
yeah,
this is where I feel like the outside perception and the inside reality can be really different. So I want to quickly talk about the head behind the work. So again, like your work is really bold and really extroverted, but you've described yourself as quite introverted. Why do you think that is?
I was always kind of introverted growing up. I was always I still am, to be honest, an overthinker and a worrier, worrying about things that are beyond my control. And that just in turn kind of made me an introvert. And I never really, what's the word? I was never assertive, and I'm not really an assertive person. But I think like over time, like doing certain things in my career has kind of polarized and kind of flipped that to some degree. And there are aspects of my personality when I'm talking about my own work and like, you know, that side of things where I feel more extroverted and less less sort of in my own shell. So it's kind of got better as time's gone on, but it was just always my personality growing up. It's just how I was as a teenager, as a kid, quiet.
I find it really, because you look outside of looking into your work, you'd expect you to be as loud as bloody I am. Because your work's like really nice, it's really colourful, it's full of personality, it's like type shouting at you and stuff like that. And I think it's a really interesting contradiction.
It is. And like I have like a couple of mates who know how to. I'm not very bantery day to day. Like it's not my personality, but like, and I don't bite a lot of the time at, you know, when people try and make you sort of wind you up. And some of my mates know the only way to wind me up is to ask me about like, I'm an influencer, and they know that saying that to me will wind me up because I'm not into it. So there's that side to it where like people know how to get me to be, I don't know, to bite basically.
I'm definitely not going there, brother. So,
but it's like I won't shout about my work. If like someone asks me what I do that I've never met, I'd be like, I'm like an animator. I do like type work, and I won't be like, I've done work for Ed Sheeran and the BBC. Like it's just not my personality. I'd rather just, if they want to find out who I am and what I do, they can do that. I'm not going to force it into the conversation.
You might not be an influencer, bro, but you're definitely fucking inspiring. And again, me just giving my, there's one way of doing it in there, and there's one, especially the world that we live in now with like social media, it's very kind of easy for people to pick up a phone and run their mouth and not even be a master in a subject, just kind of start running their mouth about a subject. You know what I'm saying? Matt, I don't see you as that. It's not like you're on your fucking Instagram being like, selling this, check out Adobe After Effects for 25% off, type in Mat Voyce. You know what I mean? Like, you're not that, bro. Like, you're showing your work and you're repping your work, bro. And all right, you might not be shouting for the rooftops that you've done in Ed Sheeran video, but like, that's sick, bro. And for people, you know, for people trying to follow in similar footsteps for you with motion, say, that's super inspiring to know that that's what you can do. If you're lost in your career at 16 years old and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing this graphic design stuff, but it's just not fulfilling me, do you know what I mean? And I've got this passion for making things move, and I can do something for a music video. Like, and it's my problem. I've said this a couple of times on the podcast recently about like, you know, my university play fucking big place in my heart, love it, rep it. It's one of the reasons why I think that I could do it today. But my issue with it is they put these big agencies like on a bit of a pedestal and be like, right, that's where you've got to go. You've got to go and work on these agencies, where I think it should be more internally therapeutic in the sense of finding yourself through the things you love outside of graphic design. So if you did love music, but then you love motion. All right, I want to be a motion designer for fucking music videos. That's sick, and that's the influencer you are, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? I see you as, and I'm not putting a hat on you and thingy, but I think it's really what you do is really fucking positive, bro. And I think a lot of people can fucking eat off this, lad. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And change the life, lad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
You're sick, bro. You're fucking. No, I don't need to tell you this. I don't fucking know what the fuck. You know what I mean? I don't need to tell you, but you know what I mean. I think you're sick, bro.
Thanks, man.
I hope that's okay that I've just ran my mouth like that.
Yeah, do what you want. I don't care. Do what you want. Yeah.
Talking about anxiety, specifically. What does that look like day to day for you, Matt?
Day to day, it's manageable now. I take something called sertraline. I think it's called sertraline. So that kind of manages it day to day. But I mean, if it wasn't on that, it's kind of. I mean, things like tiredness have a big sort of activation or trigger on it as well, and that then can basically, if I get triggered by something, like it then made it's better now, it'd make me overthink or something and think about a situation that's out of my control, and kind of going down like the worst case scenario and spiraling. And I've been lucky that it's not sort of affecting my day-to-day work too much, but it's kind of, when I'm not working, it's then when I'm left with my own mind and my own thoughts, then it's just like the spiraling and the worrying, and it can kind of like trigger different things, but like it makes me not feel like hungry and makes me snappy. So it's all the worst parts of the personality that kind of show their fucking ugly face, essentially.
So no matter how well things are going, regardless if work's going well and everything's good at home, like does your head doesn't quiet down even then?
Yeah, it works. It's got nothing to do with work, so it's always felt like it was a very separated part of my life, which is good, because if it kind of had taken hold, then it could have like ended my career really in the first year of going freelance, when it was particularly bad. Like it could have just shut me down completely. So I kind of count my blessings on that sense, really.
How do you continuously beat self-doubt?
I think for me, the best way to do it was, I mean, I've never been good at giving myself a pep talk or giving myself praise, which feeds into like the whole introverted kind of thing. So, I kind of feel like if I can make something, normally revolving like a personal project, if I can make something that I'm kind of really proud of, or something that feels like it's kind of me, it's my personality being put out into the world, if I can make something like that, then that kind of makes me feel less doubtful about myself and makes me feel more positive. But like, it's very rare that I'm ever gonna boost my own confidence by saying like, oh, you did really well there, because it's just not my. So again, it's not my personality. It's just not kind of how I operate. So it kind of comes in waves of what projects I've worked on and what work I've put out there that kind of helps, beat that self-doubt. And over time it gets better. I feel like as you get older, you get more. I mean, I found I've got more at peace with myself. So being comfortable with, knowing my skill set and knowing what I've done and what I'm capable of, and being happy with where I am at this point in my life as well is a good boost, I would say.
What about when other people tell you how well you're doing? How does that make you feel?
Like you did earlier, I never know how to react to it. I never know how, even to this day, I'll just be like I appreciate it, but like I've never been good at taking praise in that sense, because it's just, I don't know, it sounds bad, but it makes me sound like I'm not kind of proud of my work, but I just don't always want to. I think because I have my head in it so damn much, like all day, and in the evenings, it's the first thing I think about when I wake up. Like, it's not always the one thing I want to talk about, even if it is a really cool aspect of my life. Like, it's just not, and it's just like, I'm just not going to want to sit there and talk about it with someone for hours, like outside of a context of like a podcast or, the work settings. Like, yeah, it's just, I feel like if I talk about it to someone, they're not really going to understand it, and especially if they're not in the design industry. So yeah, I kind of almost don't really want to talk about it in a sense, which is weird.
It's really interesting. I don't it's mad in it how human beings, like, we're just so fucking complex, bro. And
Yeah.
God, the way our heads sometimes can treat us, and
Yeah,
being in your
it
head,
is.
honestly, bro, it's fucking mad, bro. And it's like I
Hmm.
said, I've been building a relationship with you, Matt, and I've been watching you from afar for so long, and now having a conversation like this with you, bro, I feel, you know, I feel like obviously I know you that little bit better now,
Yeah, it's
and
nice. It's really nice.
it's dude, it's fucking lovely, and thank you. I hope I wasn't too much before when I was singing your praises like that,
No, not at all.
and
No,
like I
no.
said, I do it respectfully as I possibly can, because, like, you know, you're sick, bro. Do you know what I mean? And but I get it. I hear what you're saying, and weirdly, I kind of understand it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
when 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 you tried different things to manage it, and I know you mentioned like the medication and stuff.
Hmm.
What other things have like helped even a little? Is it like what other things you do with to kind of like deal with it and get over?
I found recently, which I'd never even considered it, like I'd say I have like an all right diet. Like I don't avoid fruits and veg, and um,
Yeah, yeah,
I try and drink more water, which I've got this massive cup. So like things like diet, caffeine. Caffeine is a
yeah,
huge hitter. Like
yeah,
I never really used to think about how much caffeine I was having, and I probably don't even have that much compared to some people that I know. Like I was having like three flat whites a day, essentially, so three double shots of espresso with oat milk or skimmed milk, and I don't think I was realizing how much caffeine that actually was. And when you're an anxious person, that is just going to drive and ride that anxiety up and up and up every time you have a coffee. And you might not be thinking about the coffee, but it's making that heart beat and beat and beat. So I've kind of discovered the world of decaf, which sounds fucking stupid, but like I have like decaf coffees and decaf teas now.
yeah, yeah. Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so that's a big part of it, and I'm trying to cut down on sugar. Like I've always had a sweet tooth, and
Yeah, man.
I've discovered like a new brand of, I can't have dairy,
Mhm.
so I have oat based
Yeah,
chocolate,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm getting a bit addicted to this oat chocolate. So that's, I mean, having that amount of sugar as well also drives anxiety, and just
Mhm,
makes you
mhm.
like hyperactive and on edge. So I'm trying to like, I'm trying to look at other things that aren't to do with my head almost, it's things, day to day things that you wouldn't even think would affect that side of things. So, those are them especially. Yeah.
Yeah, it really fucking does, bro. I've always been really dialed into my health and wellness kind of thing. Do you
Yeah.
what's your form of exercise, Matt? Do you exercise?
It's just dog walking. It's just walking the
Yeah,
dog every
walking the
day.
dog, or Hooch, big up
Yeah.
Hooch.
Yeah. He's a big dog as well. He's on the largest sort of scale of dogs. He's like a Vizsla Doberman, so he's got some big genes in
We're
him.
getting an arm workout there as he's dragging you along.
Yeah. And I've always kind of walked him. We've always walked quite far and like a couple of miles every day. And since like my kid's gone to nursery, we've tied nursery drop off with a dog walk in the morning, and that's generally between 4 and 5 miles in the morning straight off the bat before I start working. So I have that under my belt before I even hit the computer. So
Yeah,
it's that really. And when you do that for like 4 or 5 years, that effect compounded kind of, I don't think I realized that how, I don't know, healthy that was making me in a sense. Like that is my fitness. And I know people who won't walk like a mile, never mind 5 every day. So
mm, mm.
yeah, that's like my form of cathartic exercise. Like it used to be running, and now it's just dog walking because I don't have time to do the rest. I mean, I could make time, but I don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It works.
I think it's super important. My head at times, bro, is like a gang war. And
Mm,
where honestly, bro, and it's something I've fought with my whole life, and I
yeah,
do resonate with a lot of the things that you're saying, bro. And I know I might seem really extroverted, but sometimes my anxiety hides behind the extroversion. Do you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, of
Um,
course.
And the way I deal with it is what you just said then. I don't eat sugar. I don't drink. I used to love smoking weed, but recently I stopped smoking weed because that's been making me a little bit more angry. The older I've got, the worse the weeds made me. And I live in New York where it's legal too. Do you know what I mean? So it's always been a thing that I've justified because I can work on it. I can train if I wanted to. I've never been a stoner where like it puts me on the couch and I eat fucking chips and it's whatever. Like I smoke and I work. Do you know what I mean? But I've cut that off. And being dialed into these things and fucking working out, bro. Like no matter what, no matter how I feel, no matter how busy I am, no matter what I'm doing in my fucking day, I train. That is my priority. If I'm really, really busy, I'll train 3 times a day. And I'm not saying like I kill myself. I'll wake up and I'll do a 20-minute kettlebell session. Then I'll go for maybe a 15-minute jog at lunch. And then I'll do jiu-jitsu in the evening. Martial arts is big for me. That's always been a big one. For me, like the hardest thing I do is the hardest thing that I do. So if I do that, like you're saying with the kids before, I can't think about anything if I'm getting strangled or if I'm getting punched in the face or whatever it is. So I kind of deal with it. It sounds like crazy and sadistic and whatever, but it does really help me put things in perspective. Do you know what I mean?
That. And
if I don't do them things, bro, like if I say, for instance, sat there and ate a full pie of pizza and I had chips and cans of Coke, dude, my anxiety is through the fucking roof the next day. Bro, I'm in bits, lad. It ruins me. Honestly, bro.
It's insane,
it fucking
isn't it?
kills me.
It's insane. It all feeds into yourself, dude. Like, and I think the older you get, it sounds, I don't know, it makes you sound old, but it gets if you fucking want to live past like 50, you got to look after yourself. Otherwise, it's done. You only get one chance, and you're done. So, I'm kind of treating it now as it's really important, and I need to look after myself, and it just helps feed everything, feed the creativity, and it's like a full circle thing. So yeah, having those rituals, those daily rituals, is nothing wrong with that. You got to do it. Healthy,
bro, dude, 100%, brother, 100%. I love it. Thank you for your vulnerability there, and I think vulnerability is power and strength. And how you put this out to the world the way you have, I think it's really brave, lad.
Thanks, man.
So,
I appreciate
it. Big up you, and I say that from my heart, bro. You know what I'm saying? I know people who struggle, lad, and like the head's a complex thing, and to put it out like you've put it out when like I said, the outside looking in thing looks so different. It's like big up you, bro.
Thank you.
The last phase I want to just take you through really quickly is your next moves. Is the next movements, you know what I mean, making things even more move. So you're always pushing personal work. What's a dream brand, Matt, that you want to work with?
Something like Columbia Pictures or A24.
Yeah, bro.
Like these independent film studios who are making waves. If I could do some title work or some type design for that would be unreal. Like that's probably top tier at the minute. Which is why I've kind of been doing those fake title sequences in my own work to try and feed that. So yeah, man, something like A24, Columbia, those sort of big film brands that I've grown up watching, like any of them would do, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 100%. Amazing. I'd love it. I'm really interested in film design myself. I've been studying Annie Atkins a lot recently. Big fan of Annie Atkins. Yeah, she is. Yeah. I've just booked on to go and do a course with her in Dublin. I'm coming back to the UK. I'm going to go do a 2-day workshop with her. I'm fucking hyped, bro. Sick.
Yeah. She's got a good book out as well.
Amazing of course, book. Bro. Of course. Designing props and I've got it somewhere. I'm looking for it. Big fan of Annie. I'm hoping that I can get her on the podcast as well. And
man, yeah, you should check out. They're called Mina Lima.
Of course, bro. Harry Potter, bro. Come on, bro. Yeah. Sick, lad. Love it. My friend, my previous co-host, Michael, he'd be fanboying right now. He fucking loves Harry Potter. Yeah. I've watched a couple of the bits, and again, the intricacies and the storytelling and the depth that he adds to that design.
Unreal. Yeah, unreal.
Really fucking cool. New baby on the way, number 2.
Imminently.
I didn't know if we were going to get this podcast in today. I'm waiting for your missus to run in and be like, lad, we got to go now.
I just don't know.
Are you taking some time off now? Are you going to put things down for a bit and focus on that? Yeah.
As soon as they arrive, they're going to take some time off and just, have a real time off for a good few weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And just recharge as well. It's going to be obviously draining with the sleep and whatnot and managing 2 kids, but also just recharge mentally because I've been at it heavily again for a few years. So just have a break, proper break.
Amazing.
So looking forward to it.
What does success look like to you now, Matt?
Just being able to do what I do for a living. Not taking, just not even thinking about the future, not even thinking about the next few weeks of what it brings, and just knowing that I hopefully I can keep doing this for the rest of my life, rest of my working life. Being able to do that is massive, and it doesn't need to be big brands, big clients. If that is the way it goes, and that's amazing. But if I can still get paid and still get asked to do type in motion and animate and type for things, then I feel like I'm kind of successful. Absolutely. In sort of a work-based sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a wonderful way to bring this conversation to an end, Matt. Can't thank you enough for this chat today.
It's no problem, man.
You're amazing, lad. It's sick. And for anyone listening, if it looks like everyone else has figured it out, they probably not. Do you know what I mean? They're just figuring it out. They're just figuring it out, and they're working it on and just going as we go in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good luck with everything. Good luck with the new Baba.
Thanks, man.
And lad, congratulations on all your successes. You're a sick man. I appreciate it, bro. Big love, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Thank you for having me.